What's up? So this is my very first podcast of the day. Believe it or not, it's already past 7, and it's been another hectic, busy ass day. Just doing a lot of catching up, and just essentially just catching up with a lot of old videos, and particularly I'm going to get one big one done, as of today, and I want to do another one after, and that's also a big one. Um, so I'm taking, these last couple of days of my important 2 week big break because it is coming close to an end. So that's why I'm doing everything I can. I'm just so very concentrated right now on just getting everything I need done in my agenda as it pertains to, not only this entire 2 week big break, but these last 4 days of this entire big break. So I'm taking advantage because I know I'm not going to have any time as soon as this big break is over. I can tell you that much. So I'm doing everything I can, and I still have a lot of content I gotta drop, but you know, for the most part, I'm gonna have to try to do my best to just keep some of these short, like this one. I was going to talk about it yesterday. I did not have any chance at all talking about this, and I know it happened yesterday. Just going back 11 years ago, 2014, which was my very first InstaMeet that I went to with that Tristan hosted. I just went like it's my first one in general, okay? And usually the InstaMeets that I go to are usually hosted by Tristan because that's my close friend, or you're my then close friend. So all the InstaMeets that I went to, including this very first one in general, are from him. So I have not been to any other InstaMeet that is not hosted by Tristan. So the only ones I went to are when he hosted them. So I just want to briefly talk about this experience that I had, and this very first InstaMeet that I went to, obviously hosted by Tristan, because he's the one that had me to design an ad for him, and so he can show it to all his InstaMeet followers or friends. So he had me do about a couple of them, for the sake of his InstaMeets that he has hosted then. So that's what I did. As far as my experience is concerned, it's not too bad. There was a lot of people. This meeting was held in Crystal Cove. Not that far off. Not that far off from Newport. I've gone to Crystal Cove several times, and hell, I even went with Tristan a month prior, where not only was it so overcast, but I think we were planning something as far as like, I don't know what. I think he was trying to do like a setup plan for that very Insta meet, so which happened on a month later, which was what, July 20th, which was you know just yesterday, 11 years ago. So yeah, I thought the experience was pretty cool. Got to meet some people, not really a whole lot, and I was actually with with my guys at the time, Russ, Dewey, who was it, and Carlos. So it was just us four, and I had those guys with me. Although I think I'm trying to remember who was driving that time. I think it was Carlos, but I could be wrong. I think Carlos drove us, all of us, over there. But I'm trying to remember. It was either me or him, but it's besides from this entire topic, which is about my experience. Yeah, it's cool, but as for them, I don't know. I think, to me, they felt like they liked it, but in the end, I mean, I think this was literally, I think after that, like Tristan had to let me know after that instant meet that I guess he noticed the way that that Russ and Dewey met his friends, and that it was to a point where it might just be like it was just so awkward that he just reminded me. I'm talking about Tristan. He reminded me that those guys should just should just not attend any more instant meets in the future. And let's just tell the truth. He didn't really he didn't really like those guys anyway. You know what I'm saying? He was never he never ever since he met Russ and Dewey, he wasn't really into them like that. So he didn't really it just didn't really fit in his taste for as far as friendship is concerned. So, you know, he just he just simply did not like them. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and in these instances here, it's like he just told me straight up, like, they should not be attending those anymore. Now I don't know how he felt about Carlos, but I'm trying to. I forgot how he felt with Carlos, but for sure I remember how how he reacted when he saw Russ and Dewey. But and understandably, Tristan was just not really, and this goes back to me just alluding to his quote unquote leave of absence as a nut baller. Yes, he was a nut baller for like several years, but he wasn't gonna be that guy long term, unlike the rest of us. So he wasn't that guy, and then he just has a different personality when it comes to uh, friends and friend tastes, friendship values and all that. So I didn't really see him long term with the nut ballers like that. So you know, but then again, our friendship has just pretty much ended. So it's not like I'm gonna ever hear from him again. But yeah, this first instant meet though has really taught me, I won't say it taught me, but it really drove me to want to meet more new friends then, because I didn't really have. I mean, if I had to look back, I still had some, but my thinking back then was I didn't have enough. So after that first instant meet, I then met what was his name, David Arguin, who used to work at my dump, and he was the only dude that actually drove a motorcycle over there, every day to and from work. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he's the one that got me into doing meetups. He told me about meetup in his Halloween party that I attended, and he I went to check it out, and from there I started getting into it. That's how I met a lot of these guys, going to the next few years, like Dave, former close friend, Vincent, former close friend, Julia, former close friend, who else? Francis, former close friend. So I met about several people from Meetup. So I think I found Meetup to be worthy, even though a lot of the events that I attended were hikes. There was a couple that I did where, I met from, I did like the Totally 80s bar, which is just right off of Orange Thorpe. That was an awesome ass looking bar. And I'm trying to, who did I go with at the time? I think it was just me. And I met some really cool people there, just chilled and talked. And, one of them was in my Facebook, Yvonne Robertson or something like that. And she's still there, I think, but we just ended up not developing a friendship. But, most of the guys that I met from these hiking groups, I end up being friends with them even though it's short term, but, I end up being close with them until, until they just faded out. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the point is, this instant meet had driven me to want to make more new friends at the time. So for the most part, it was successful for me, but it wasn't successful like how I wanted it. You know, it was successful though. Don't get me wrong that I was able to gain several new friends at the time, even if most of them I met were from my hiking meetups. But you know, in regards to the InstaMeets, I didn't really make any friends long term, or like how I developed my friendships with these guys from meetups. But at least the InstaMeet was the driving force for me to want to gain or to want to improve my friend circle. You know, Tristan had always told me, hey, you know, if you want to make more new friends, you want to better your life like that, better your social life, and you gotta, you know, he also told me something about like just finding friends with who have, you know, who can connect with me and who can, you know, who could share their common interests and, you know, great personalities and all that. You know, I just remembered like he told me that back then. Now, obviously, it's a different story now, and let's not forget. Before I get into that, like, yeah, I met even more friends, but this time they were actually from online, from Facebook. And some of those friends I still have to this day, like Sam, Mari, Resha, even though her real name is Martez, Mercy. But I met a whole lot of them that used to be my ex close friends, and I've had longer lasting relationships with them than I did with these guys I met from Meetup. Let's just be real about that. Guys like Kriza, Rhea, Angelique, Jessica. So, you know, I think since that first instant me, it really helped me to build, or you know, just grow my social circle. Which, you know, in the next few years it was starting to be great, but it just didn't last long term for me. You know, so even after I met a lot of these guys, mostly from the Posters and, you know, the fan bases like the Posters and Julie Angels, I was still doing meetups, and I think my opportunities were there. It was I feel like I was really growing my circle, but you know, at the same time, it's like, how the hell am I gonna handle this many? You know what I'm saying? But it's a whole different story now. Obviously, in the year 2025, after what transpired with the pandemic and all that, it's just a lot of changes, especially with me and where my mental health is, and now with me just doing so much podcasting. But you know, after doing the instant meets, I don't think I'm going to do one again. I don't think I'm ever going to go into one anymore. Hell, how am I going to know? Because I'm not in social media right now. I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on Facebook, but I don't give a damn at this point. I'm just worried about my own life, and that's just all that matters. But, you know, the first instant meet I had really drove me to where I had grown my social circle temporarily, and you know, it just shrink, and then I still have, you know, pretty much all my friends from the Nut Ballers to this day, like Julio, Robbie, Ray, Abbas, of course, Russ, of course, Dewey, of course, Neil, of course, you know, Carlos, and even guys like Nathan and Anastasia and Cecilia. You know what I'm saying? So, and I still have who I have, and that's all I'm going to be sticking with, especially as life goes on. And, you know, obviously I need to fix my life at this point, because that's been my main focus, and obviously a new job as well. So, yeah, this is all I want to touch on, and I don't want to go too long here. So, yep, just let me know what you think, you know.